Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Lori Spitz on Blog Talk Radio. I had some serious problems getting into my switchboard here tonight. Thanks everybody for being here. This is Child Abuse Prevention is Up to Us, and we're on for 30 minutes. It's a live internet streaming radio broadcast for blogtalkradio.com and chat room. I'm just putting the chat room open right now. I do these shows on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday nights just to bring out awareness and raise awareness about the issues surrounding child abuse and information that I find interesting or things that I see in the news that are happening and things like that. And last Wednesday I just spent most of the show griping and complaining about the whole thing. Tonight I thought I'd do something a little different. I'm a survivor of child abuse, and that's why I do what I do. And one child abuse survivor. Well, it's not just that. I mean, I care about children, and I care about human rights. And so it just makes sense for me to get involved and be a voice, right? But I'm also a survivor, and I know what these kids are going through, and that's why I'm really so passionate about what I do and try to get involved with people, like-minded people who are out here, trying to stop child abuse, right? So that's what I do. I'm a public speaker, and I just like to raise awareness and stuff. But tonight what I thought I'd do is read some of my poems, and they are graphic, right? They're very graphic. They're very disturbing. It's poetry that I wrote for my inner child and for what I had to go through as a child being abused. And tonight I'm actually going to read the ones that are just dealing with the CSA incest, child sexual abuse and incest. And it is, you have to listen to your own, to any of my shows at your own discretion, because I say that on every show. I've done about, almost 800 shows. But I say that on every show just in case somebody's listening for the first time, because I just don't sugarcoat it. I just tell it like it is, and I believe that truth is necessary. If we're going to stop child abuse, it is going to take the truth, and it's going to take the reality of what these kids are actually going through out here if we're really going to stop it. Because lots of people like to minimize child abuse. They like to think, people who have not been abused like to think it's just a form of discipline. And people who have been abused know that's different. That's really not the case at all. And but many times people won't speak out or minimize their own abuse because they don't want people to know what they really went through, because it's so disturbing. It's so hard on people. It's hard on survivors. It's hard on people who have had to suffer these things. And, I'm just willing to talk about it. It's not very often that you find somebody who's publicly willing to talk about it. There are a lot of us out here, actually. But compared to the numbers of people that are abused as children and then go on to live in silence and in shame, and, it's so disturbing. We have to stop this mess so that no other child, has to go through this, right? It's so important. So that's what I'll be doing tonight. But I thank everybody for tuning in. I have a lot of people listening to the show. I've just checked my show numbers, and I have almost 38,000 shows listened. That's a lot of shows, and I just appreciate people who have been, taking time out of their day after day, to listen to what I have to say about child abuse and my own story in the morning. One child abuse survivor to another. So I do thank you so much for doing that, because time is precious, and you're spending 2 years. A lot of people have spent pretty well 2 years with me on here on Blog Talk Radio. So I just can't even tell you what that means to me. It's a huge support mechanism, and I really appreciate it. A lot of you, I know who you are, but some of you I really don't, and so I appreciate you all doing this. I have therapists and psychotherapists listen to my shows as well, and people that are in the the social services and whatnot like to listen to my shows just to get some more information, some more info, right? So I want to read, I'm actually going to start just reading a couple of my poems that I wrote, and one of them, let me see, I'm going to read Bound and Gagged. And Bound and Gagged is actually just recently published in Silent No More, a book that was put out by the founder of RSOSA, Reaching Survivors of Sexual Abuse, and that's Kate Swift from the UK. She put a book together of a whole bunch of survivor poems and survivor artwork, survivor stories, and it's a book, and it's called Silent No More. And my poem, Bound and Gagged, actually made it in there. And that is awesome. That is so cool. It's going to be all over the UK. It's going to be all over the world, actually. Copies are being sent. People are buying copies from all around the world because the contributors were from all around the world. These are people that don't just live in the UK or in North America. These people live all around the world, right? So it's amazing, just really awesome to be part of that. What an honor, and what a great gift to us all. This is people who have suffered so much, and like myself, are just willing to share our experiences with people in order to hopefully help other survivors to realize that they're not alone, and also so that we can be another voice saying this is happening, whether people want to believe it or not. Child abuse is happening, whether we all want to just keep pushing it under the carpet and keep pretending it's not happening and the issues are what they are. It's not. It's not going away. And it's a reality that so many children face. So I'm going to read my poem Bound and Gagged, and I actually wrote this November the 12th, 2010. Bound and gagged, scratching, clawing, pushing, punching, darkness, sobbing, choking, blackness, gasping, shaking, bound, gagged, hands, fingers, head, mouth, body, where they should not be, overpowering me, drowning, swallowed into darkness. 8 years old, why is this happening to me? 13 years later, gynecologist tells me, you're no virgin, honey, innocence stolen from me, cannot let anyone touch me. Bound, gagged. So that's a poem I wrote for myself. I wrote that for my inner child. I was sexually used. I was raped and sodomized by my brother, who was 21 years old, and I was 8 years old. And he continued to sexually use me for a period of about 7 months, 8 months, somewhere in there. And my mother did nothing about it. She just allowed it to happen. The damage was done, and I didn't realize that there was any damage done. I knew that I was bleeding and I was having problems from the rape and the sexual assaults, but I didn't go for my first get checked out or anything for my first gynecologist appointment until I was 21 years old. And when I went in there, I actually wrote on the card that I was a virgin and that I had never had sexual intercourse with anyone, and that I was a virgin, right? Because I filled out the card and the paperwork and everything, and that it was my first exam and all this. And the lady did the exam, and she was like, it says here on your card that you've never had sexual intercourse. And I said, yeah, that's right. And she said, so you've never slept with anyone, you've never been abused, you've never been sexually abused? I was like, nope. And she's like, well, honey, your whole your hymen, everything is all scarred, everything's torn away, like you were sexually abused. And she says, either that or you're just not telling the truth. And I was like, no, I'm a virgin, And the reason I can laugh about it is because at the time it was so bizarre, because I did not want to admit, that my brother had raped me and sodomized me and sexually abused me, right? So I couldn't admit it. I couldn't face it. You know what I mean? I would have had, and I was 21, so I was an adult. So she's like, look, you're an adult. You have the right to pursue this, or, but we're going to record it as we see it. We're going to record it as such, but it's up to you if you want to pursue, you know what I mean, like to get justice and whatnot. Well, my brother had just killed himself the year before. My brother, who actually raped and sodomized me and sexually used me, killed himself the year before that. And what kind of justice could be done? My body. They said that chances of me having children would be very slim, and they said if I was able to even get pregnant, right? They said it was just probably not going to happen, and they said, even if I did get pregnant, I probably wouldn't be able to carry a child. And I had actually heard that from a surgeon, actually 3 years before, when I had a car accident, because I had a major car accident and was seriously laid up for a year. And they were like, you probably won't be able to carry a child, and we can't see that. We can't see your body doing it at all. And then I had this gynecologist telling me that again, because I was abused as a child, right? And so that's horrific. This is what this stuff does to people. And I lost my baby halfway through. I met a man, and we love each other. We're still together today. And we tried to have a child, and actually it was not necessarily planned, but we were very happy about it. I was, anyway, because I got to feel what it would be like to be a mother for about 4.5 months. About 4.5 months into it, I lost the baby, and they said, that it's just not likely that I'd be able to have a child and carry a child all the way through full term. But these are the issues that people face. The harsh reality of, try to put yourself into an 8-year-old, whether it's a girl or a boy, an 8-year-old's shoes, and put yourself in their shoes and put yourself in their position of being sexually abused in any way. It's absolutely horrific. It should just not be happening. And yet we have people out here excusing it away. We have a whole society excusing it away. Oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. It's like, oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. I was sitting in a tub of bloody water, my own blood, trying to clean myself up in a lot of pain. I tell you, a lot of pain. It's a big deal. And it kills little children. Little children, little babies and toddlers are being raped every day. You see these articles out here, right? These articles out here, this is the truth and the reality of what's happening to children. Little tiny babies and toddlers are being raped, and they die from these injuries because, my little 8-year-old body couldn't take that either. So I was bleeding, I was ripped and torn, and I was messed up inside. And that should have never, ever, ever happened to me. And so you can't tell me, people out here like to say that there's just nothing wrong with child sexual abuse. No, it's true. Take a look. Listen very carefully. There's a huge section of society that says it's okay and it's fine, And then there's the rest of us screaming out going, you are insane. And how can you even think that it's okay? And, I think people who actually support and back up child sexual abuse should be locked away. I really do, because it's incredibly wrong. It's not right. It will never, ever be right. And I'm going to make as much noise as I can about this as possible, right? Because I just want to be one more person. But see, I thank God for a lady that was really my best friend, Donna Shear. Donna Shear, encouraged me to write. And, I wanted to be a journalist when I was younger, and I didn't go for it. Life just happened, and I just didn't do it. And I had always wanted to write, and I used to write, a little bit here and there, and I always kind of was very interested in the whole thing. And Donna Shear, she's an author. She's also the president of Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. She encouraged me to write, and she actually published it. She was the one responsible for getting 2 of my books published, she just left my words the same as they were. She just left my words, and she said, "You're a good writer. You need to write. You need to write. You need to write." And so she really encouraged me, and for that I'll be eternally thankful. And I just, I'll never forget that, because it's great when somebody encourages you to do something. And I already was using my voice, but now I can use a pen, and I can do a whole lot more work with a pen and a voice than just with a voice, right? So, really big thanks to Donna Shear for doing that, you know what I mean? But this is the issue. Kids, no child should ever have to go through this, not ever. And that was just one of my poems that I wrote. I wrote another few. I wrote other poems too, just dealing with the child physical abuse and verbal, emotional, psychological abuse that I went through as well. But I also wrote some other poems about the CSA incest that I suffered, and I kind of wanted to read a couple more out to you guys. And this is my poetry, and I have it published. I don't have it published in a book, but it's mine, and it's copywritten. So this is my stuff, right? So that was called Bound and Gagged, that last one. That's actually the first one that I wrote on November the 12th, 2010, so almost a year ago. And this one, I wrote another one called Child of Pain on July the 16th. I'm going to read that one out to you right now. This one is for my inner child. I realized that I had this inner child that was myself at the age of 8 years old, being sexually abused and raped and sodomized. And I knew this person inside of me was still so wounded, and because there was no help. My mother didn't help me. She just called me a whore and a slut, and she didn't help me at all. She was my main abuser, so it wasn't like she was going to help me. Because I told her what was going on, and she said, just wrap myself up like a mummy, like that was going to stop my brother. I don't think so. And but she didn't care. She was being sexually abused by my dad, and so she was being maritally raped by my dad, and abused in every way. And so she didn't care. She was just like, well, I'm getting mine, so you're getting yours. And that was her attitude. So she let my brother sexually use me for about 7 months, right? And that's so incredibly wrong. She wasn't standing in the room. She was just ignoring it. She was just pretending she didn't know nothing about it, right? And so here I am bleeding, and an infection had set in, and I was incredibly sick and ill at the time, and she didn't care. But then my mother was always trying to kill me anyway, so it's not like she really cared, right? She just didn't care. You know what I mean? She had her own set of problems, and I was just one of them, and I was just another one. So it was like, okay, whatever, we can just ignore here. So I got ignored, and I got left to deal with this, right? So I couldn't necessarily deal with it, so my mind split, and I was very able to walk away from those memories for a long, long time. And I knew I had been raped and sodomized, and I knew, you know what I mean? It's just that I didn't want to deal with it, so I sort of tucked it away, nice and neat, put it away. So just recently I wrote a poem for my inner child, for this child, 8 years old, for myself. I wrote this for myself. It's called Child of Pain. It says, "Oh, my child of pain, let me hold you if you trust me. I promise I won't leave you again. Left alone in the dark these many years, bound and gagged in so much pain, Those endless tears you cried all alone, the door was shut, you were left on your own. The torture and torment as he raped you, 37 years, while I did not want to think about you. I had to split my child of pain, as I knew I could not live with that kind of pain. Your wounded body, raped and torn, your wounded soul, your life he stole. My wounded body did finally heal. No children would I have from the ordeal. My wounded mind raped every day, as I knew the truth about my child of pain. Let me untie you, set you free. I will sit here on the bed and keep you company. One day we will truly heal, learn to love again. Let me help you, precious girl. We can hold each other, soothe away the pain. Together we will take back our body. We will take back our virginity. We will take back our power. He cannot hurt us anymore. We have purged and cleansed ourselves from his evil deeds. We are free, my precious, to love ourselves. No longer do we live in shame. No longer will we have to endure the pain. This pain, it is over, my precious child. I promise I will never leave you again. And that was written, I just wrote that one actually not that long ago, July 16th of this year, 2011. And that was just because I had just completely walked away from the torment and the torture of the ordeal and having to deal with the aftermath of it, you know what I mean? Just, like I said, just being in pain, sitting in the tub trying to clean up and, just knowing that, my body was just being ravaged, you know what I mean? And I didn't know what to do with this, you know what I mean? I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? You know what I mean? It was hurting me, and he didn't care. You know what I mean? He knew that I was in pain, and I was crying, and I was, there's times when I'd be home alone in the house and he would rape me, and he didn't care if I would scream and cry, and he just didn't care that he was hurting me, and he knew the damage he was doing, because he knew the blood was there, and he was the one making sure that the blood wasn't getting on anything, and he was the one who had devised this plan, And so it was pretty damaging, you know what I mean? But I was already screwed because I was already being abused really from day one, from zero. And so my mind, I was already used to being in a bad space in my mind. But this just kind of was a different bad space. And so I was like, well, I don't know how to deal with this because I'm already being abused. And so I'm already being treated a certain way. I already have to protect myself on a certain level. So what I'll have to do is tuck this away so I can deal with the other stuff. Because I still needed to go to school and I still needed to to function. So that's what a lot of survivors will do. A lot of children who have been sexually abused or sexually molested or just anything like that, where they're just not, they're the trauma of it, and they just can't figure out what to do with it, so they just split. And it's a self-protection, it's a self-protective measure, and I was, easily able to recall the memories. It didn't take all that long for me to get a hold of them, which I thought it would take me forever because I thought I had pushed them way, way down. But that was my self-defense mechanism to say that, they're so far I don't have to look at them, but actually they were right there. So, I knew, you know what I mean? And it's very frustrating because, like he literally, my brother stole my life, you know what I mean? Like, so did my parents, And did they do any time? Was there any justice served? No. And even if they would it matter? Not really. Because he took from me what cannot be replaced. Right. And so even my parents, there's no justice. There's not enough justice. And that's why I'm just thankful, and I'm a believer in God's justice. Amen. That's what gets me through the day. So, this is pretty sad that we have to deal with this stuff. And for anybody out there, who's been abused in any way, I just want to encourage you, to reach out and get some help, and because there are some awesome people out there, but you just have to be careful who you get involved with, and be very careful who you trust, because not everybody's really all that trustworthy, right? And so you have to be careful, right, how much you're going to give away of yourself, right? I want to read another poem that I wrote August 27th, 2011. So this is very, very, I just wrote this a few weeks ago, because I knew, like my mother used to tell me that I was born out of rape, because that was the truth of it. My dad had been raping my mother for years. She wasn't supposed to have any children after my brother was born, and he was 7 years older than me. And then my sister came along. She was 5 years older than me, and she was born. And my dad had been continually raping my mother for years, right, forcing himself on her, which is marital rape. I hope everybody knows this, because she would be fighting him off, because she would have died. Like the doctors told her, no more children, you will die. if you have children. But my dad didn't care if she died. He just wanted to have sex. He wanted to get his jollies. And so he didn't care if she died. And so he would beat on her and he would rape her in front. He actually raped her in front of me one time, actually. Yeah. So there you go. And so my dad was raping my mother. And so my mother, when I came along, my mother was like, "You're a rotten rape child. Get away from me. I hate you, you rape child." And she hated me, and she hated the fact that I would be smiling at her and I'd be like, "Mommy, I love you," and she would just be beating on me and slapping me around and telling me, "You're just a rotten rape child. You're a rotten ingrate kid. Get away from me." And she just hated me, and she wanted to hate me, and she wanted to have something to kick around, and I was perfect opportunity for her to kick around a small child, right? So pretty sad, but that's the truth. So I knew I was a rape child, my whole life. And then I was raped. And I saw it, you stupid. I really want to cuss here tonight, but I'm not going to. But, I really would like to. It's my show, and I feel like I should be able to. But I don't necessarily, turn people off. But I feel like cussing sometimes, like a whole lot. And it's so wrong. It is so incredibly wrong what people do to children. I'm going to keep fighting. I don't care. And no other advocates are going to think they're going to shut me down or get me to stop talking or whatever. I have every freaking right to be out here talking about this stuff. I was raped as a child. Not only that, but I was born a rape child. You want to kiss my ass if you think that I'm just going to walk away from this and you think I'm just going to be quiet. I was speaking before I met y'all, and I'm going to keep on speaking. Because I'm tired of other advocates trying to say, once you're not in with them, then they're, you just need to go away. We're on the same damn team. We're fighting for the same damn mission, So for all the advocates out there who are out there trying to get other advocates set up the wazoo, you know what I'm saying? I get so sick and tired of that. So anyway, rape child raped. This is my fight. This is exactly why I'm fighting to do what I do, because I can't even explain to you how incredibly bad it is to be a rape child and then be raped. To know that you are not wanted, you're unloved, you were not wanted. You should have. My mother used to tell me you should have died with the other stillborn babies that were born before you, because it was these two stillborn babies that were born before me, two girls, and they died. I'm kind of thankful for that, because they would have been abused as well, right? So two more before me. And I mean, that's sad, but honest to God, that's the truth. I used to wish I was dead. By the time I was 10, after I'd been raped and abused my whole life, I was like, just kill me, just go ahead and fucking kill me. I don't care, you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do? Please, one more blow. That will take me out of my misery. You know what I mean? That's bad, and no child should ever, ever, ever be wishing for that. And so I will continue to speak out. I don't give a shit who likes it and who doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, I've got some people that are kind of a little grumpy with me right now, and I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Because I'm on a mission just like they are. But I'm on a bigger mission because I'm a rape child who was raped, so they kiss my ass. You know what I'm saying? So rape child raped. I wrote this August 27th, 2011, and I'm just going to read it out to you right now. Rape child raped. She wakes up to the same old tiring day. Mommy doesn't want her and pushes her away, yells and hits her oh so hard, tells her she is a rape child that no one could love. Nighttime comes and it starts again. The fighting, the shouting, the harm is done. Why is he hurting Mommy? I don't understand. Why does he hit her and punch her with his hand? Morning comes and it's not a surprise to see Mommy with bruises and tears in her eyes. Mommy, I love you. Please don't cry. Get away from me. I hate you, you rape child, she replies. Brother is sick and stays in his room. Days pass to years as he stews and he broods. An adult man with a warped mind thinks he should use my body and devises a plan. I'll bind her and gag her so she cannot scream and fight, as she did when I molested her the other night. She won't squirm or kick or try to get away, and this is my plan, and I will have my way. Nighttime comes and I am awakened, to my hands tied and mouth gagged and my body shaking. No, brother, I screamed in my head as he raped me and sodomized me and left me dead. I died that night as I lay on my bed, bleeding and torn and so lost and forlorn. Mommy doesn't love me. She always reminds me that I was born out of rape, and she wished I was dead. Brother has raped me and hurt me so bad. How can I live another day in this place? She wakes up to the same old tiring day. Mommy doesn't want her and pushes her away, yells and hits her oh so hard, tells her she is a rape child that no one could love. That's my poem I just wrote. And, that's just the reality of it right there. You know what I mean? Like, I will continue to fight against this stuff. I know I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's lots of rape children out there that have been raped. It's sort of standard, you know. If you're already abused, your chances of being sexually abused are just so much higher. And so I already know that there's plenty of people, survivors out there who were probably raped children, born out of rape, and who were raped. And I'm not alone in this. I already know that. And it makes me angry that there's a whole section of society that says it's just no big deal. You know, it's like, no, I'm going to keep on fighting. And I hope, what I really hope is some big time organization picks me up to be a public speaker with them, you know, who will appreciate my work and appreciate what I do. And otherwise, I'll just create my own, you know what I mean? Because I got a great idea that will allow so many thousands of people to get involved, not just one person controlling one thing. This would actually open it up so that there would be literally tens of thousands, if not, you know, hundreds of thousands of people doing this and actually taking control of it and being a part of it and actually getting it done, you know what I mean? It just can't just be about one person, you know what I mean? You just can't do it. So, you know, I hope to be able to get something like that rolling and, you know, and get it started, and whether or not I just find somebody else to run it, you know what I mean? Because I mainly just want to public speak, you know what I mean? But I have great ideas, you know what I mean? And so what I'm really hoping is that I can get, you know, in with some groups who are really proactive and really want to get something going, because we need something done. Calgary, you know, my city where I live, you can't find anything. There's just nothing on child abuse. It just doesn't exist here, which is just not true. Child abuse is everywhere, and there's certain cities and certain places where you can't even find anything. There's no support. There's one little area, one little section of support, and that's it. For a huge city the size of Calgary, you got to be kidding me. Like, this is ridiculous. The domestic violence shelters are full all the time. They don't even have enough places to put these people there on the run. You know what I mean? Mainly women, but there are some men actually too. And, you know, and it's just, this is pathetic. There's kids involved, you know, and there's kids being abused. There's kids ending up at the children's hospital. There's kids being killed and murdered, you know. Not so much as down in the States. I mean, there is I think that the numbers are not quite as high here because we don't have the population up here that we do in the States, that you guys do down there. But I'm from the States, so I know all about this. But anyway, the issues are what they are. Child abuse still exists here. And, you know, whether people want to admit it or not, it's here. But Canada is 20 years behind the States. Right, guaranteed 20 years behind the States on everything. So it's really unfortunate, but that's the truth and the reality of it. We are back in the dinosaur ages as far as child abuse prevention goes. And thank God for Little Warriors up here in Edmonton. Little Warriors, they deal with child sexual abuse, and they are a huge, like, really, I'm talking grassroots organization that's getting the job done. They're starting to get national attention. They have got national attention, actually. Now they're starting to get worldwide attention. And, you know, check their website out at http www.littlewarriors, LittleWarriors, littlewarriors.ca, and that's Glory Meldrum out of Edmonton, Alberta. Awesome stuff. They do a great job. I want to get more involved and focused on the issues of all child abuse, not just child sexual abuse, even though tonight I was talking about my own story and reading poems about the CFA incest that I suffered. I'm actually really more interested in the whole scope of child abuse and neglect. But I will always support Little Warriors because they are awesome. Talk about a great group of people and look at the work they do. Check out their website because these guys are really on the move and they get things done, and I really like that. So thanks everybody for being here. Got about a minute left. I'll be back on the weekend tomorrow as well as on Sunday, and then Monday morning I've got one child abuse survivor to another. Coming up here really soon, I've got Jane Rowan coming on, author Jane Rowan. She's going to talk about her book, and I've got Lisa A. Freeman, Abuse Bites. She's going to be on the show, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff coming up. I got some great stuff coming up, so be sure and stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and for listening to my poems, and you know, I'll have those published one day in a book. Right now they're just copywritten for myself, but I will get those into a book one day. So thanks everybody for your support. I really appreciate it, you know, and take good care of yourselves. If you need help and you can't cope and there's nobody around to talk to, because a lot of times that's the way it is, you know, you call a crisis line. You know what I mean? You do something, but you do not ever give up. I'm telling you, that child rape poem is for anybody who's ever suffered. You know, don't you ever give up. I'm not allowed to give up. I have to keep going every day. I have to wake up and I have to keep going, and so you do too. If I got to do it, you got to do it. So if you're having a hard time and you can't cope, man, you just remember, we have to keep going. We have to look for those better days, and we have to look for that help, that whatever's going to get through the next day. You make sure you reach out, and do not ever give up, right? Have a great night, everybody. Talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.